Today we are going to be reacting to a video by MMA On Point, 10 MMA losses that the community took pleasure in. This is probably going to be exciting. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Please go show MMA On Point some love in the pinned comment description down below. Let's watch this together. They have actually like a real clean intro,
better than watching a fighter you really don't like losing? It is the best possible thing.
You know, I used to feel this way a ton growing up, but I feel like as I've aged, I've just literally enjoyed the martial arts more than like getting invested into any fighter.
In MMA, better than someone you like winning even a lot of times. And while
no way! I would have much rather had like Dominic Reyes win recently.
Hands are split on any given fighter. Every once in a while, something happens where we just universally wanted to see someone get beat. These brief, magical moments where we were all united in our stance.
Really? Wait. Is everybody united against TJ Dillashaw back in that fight? I've always liked TJ Dillashaw, that's the thing. Or maybe everybody wanted Henry Cejudo to lose. Both those guys were kind of hated, to be honest with you, a little bit.
As haters. It's so satisfying and exceptionally rare, but for the instances we're about to talk about. I'm Tommy from MMA On Point, and these are 10 MMA losses the community took pleasure in.
Hey.
Number 10, Timu Connor Humble.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely one. Oh my god, yeah, the entire world loved this one. This went mega viral.
It might be the sincerest form of flattery, but that's for the person being imitated. For observers, it can be beyond eye-rolling.
Dude, I get that you get a little bit of clout from it, but is it... I guess it might be worth it because everybody under the sun was like getting all hyped up about this dude getting knocked out. But it's so cringe to me. Like, Ilia Topuria could have been a star in himself instead of copying Conor McGregor, getting his tattoos, saying the exact same things at press conferences like Ian Gary, you know? It's just weird.
Especially when it's a personality like Conor McGregor's. It was impossible to not see the influence that McGregor had on Bellator's James Gallagher. He reached the promotion in 2016, the height of Conor's powers, and given that he was from the same gym, it was like a bit too on the nose there, buddy.
Oh my god, yeah, the only thing that he was missing was 50 G's, baby! Ha ha! And it's crazy, like, you don't even have to copy Conor McGregor. Remember, like, how the most cringe thing under the sun was Cynthia Calvillo going, "I'm not surprised, motherfuckers."
I'm sure there are plenty of Conor's teammates that don't act like a great value version of him. The only reason Conor's shtick worked is because it was paired with what he was doing in the cage at the highest level.
And he was charismatic, not necessarily like we see in this this video right here.
It felt like it was genuinely who he was. As we've seen, that charm did not last forever, and no grace was given to James, who immediately felt like a ripoff. And he hadn't beat anybody yet. He was working his way through the bottom rungs of Bellator. But
it's fine to do something along the lines of like Conor, like, except besides calling yourself, "Oh, I'm Mystic Gallagher," like, you know what I mean? You don't say that stuff, but it's fine to like make predictions and do a little bit of the things Conor does because that's been done before, but you have to deliver on that type of thing too.
That is when he ran into Ricky Bandejas and couldn't have been any more annoying in the lead up to the actual fight itself.
At the end of the day, it's a really big gamble because if he would have just clocked him going in there, just destroyed him, people would have been like, "Dude, this guy's sick."
2 years fans have been forced to watch dollar store Conor McGregor strut around cosplaying like a world champion when he was just getting started. And
yeah, everybody kind of hated on this guy every single time, eh?
So when Bandejas wrecked his shit in the very first round, it was just what every fan needed that night.
Wait, can we even watch these highlights? I know the UFC is really hungry for copyright, but I know Bellator's not a thing anymore. Are we gonna get copyrighted? Hey, this is a reaction video to we're giving transformative and commentary throughout this. Oh, yeah, he got wrecked, dude, and we're gonna skip through it there just in case. Okay, I don't want to play too much of the video.
That time, everybody just collectively said, "Fuck Tony Kelly." In fact,
oh, this is a new part. I vaguely remember I can't remember why everybody hated him. I don't think I hated him that much, but maybe I'm just misremembering something.
You probably only remember Tony Kelly because everybody wanted him to lose so badly to Adrian Yanez.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember why. If anybody can write it in the comments, assuming that MMA On Point doesn't say it, please let me know.
This nothing burger of a fight really heated up a month before the bout after Kelly was overheard saying the following while cornering his then girlfriend Andrea Lee against Viviana.
Oh, I remember now. I forgot about that.
Joe, in a very quiet Apex Center.
They're dirty fucking Brazilians. They're gonna fucking cheat like that.
The backlash online was swift, with Tony
I don't think I've watched this press conference leading up to that fight. That might be why.
Afterwards brushing off the outrage as cancel culture.
Hey, you know what? Like, I guess that's the way you're supposed to handle it, right? You can't sit down, admit, you can't apologize for anything. At least you, like, become a villain. Oh, man.
But his attempt at politicizing the issue didn't work. Yanez seemed extra stoked to get to punch Kelly even more after the comments, and...
Yeah, and then a lot of people on top of that liked Adrian Yanez, so that I forgot how heated that was because of that.
Gilbert Burns offered a bonus for Adrian if he got the finish.
You know, if Gilbert Burns, of all people, is putting a hit on somebody, you know that you said something out of pocket.
Kelly was done no favors on fight night as he missed weight, which generally pisses everyone off, and the bout was held in Texas, Yanez's home turf. The crowd booed Tony relentlessly at his announcement, causing him to flip everybody off and grab his nuts. Really winning everybody over there, buddy. The crowd was rabid all fight, and late in the first, when Yanez hurt Kelly, they lost.
Dude, I know exactly what type of cheer. Like, I don't know if they're gonna play a part of the cheer, but dude, everybody went nuts for that.
Minds. Adrian let Tony know what he thought of him immediately after the stoppage as well, and the entire MMA community collectively said, fuck yes.
Dude, you can even be a sore winner. Like, I mean, I get why he did that, but you even, like, you know how everybody's like, oh, why did you have to shoot the finger at him afterwards, you know? People hated Tony so much that Adrian doing that was, like, the most hype thing ever.
That Brazilian power that guy came behind me with that hands, bro. I'm telling you, I felt the Brazilian energy, man. Te amo mucho.
As if the win wasn't satisfying enough on its own, despite being 2-2 in the UFC at the time, with 2 wins in a row prior to the Yanez loss, Kelly was released from the promotion and actually never fought again. Adrian...
Really? 2022 as well, eh? Did he stick? I don't know if he coaches anybody else. It's not like coaching Andrew Lee will get you, like, a... solid career or anything like that, eh?
Adrian literally ended this man's whole career. Number 8, knee slapper. The perfect storm of discontent towards Sean Shirk converged in a single moment at UFC 84 and made for one
hang
of
on.
the most
This was before my time, unfortunately. I'm not familiar with the beef here.
satisfying finishes of all time. The year previous, Shirk had been stripped of the lightweight title after pissing hot in a win over Hermes Franca, who also pissed hot. Mind you,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure if I've ever actually seen a fight of his.
This was 2007. We're in the tough boom. New fans are outraged, and they fucking hate this dude. He was the poster child for cheating in mixed martial arts.
Dude, it kind of sucks, to be honest with you, because back then, everybody was on something. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if the vast majority of fighters were still on something, because some of the athletes we see are insane. But back in the day, like, obviously, cheating in a professional sport should be shamed, but, like, so many people get away with it and so many people do it that, like, I kind of feel bad for the one singular guy that gets caught in the entire pool, you know?
They had this big, disgraceful fallout from their title fight, and then here comes BJ Penn. You know, the coolest fucking dude ever. BJ returned to lightweight with a triumphant...
Yeah, dude, the fall from grace for BJ Penn is something else. It sucks to see, honestly.
Season of tough opposite Jens Pulver, and then would win vacant gold against Joe Stevenson in the absence of cheater Shirk. Fans wanted him to call out the former champ, and he did so in the coolest way possible.
Sean Shirk, you're dead.
The stage was set for a throwdown, with everybody hoping that the prodigy would give Shirk what he had coming to him, and oh man, did he ever. A big...
Oh, okay, I was about to say, did he end up losing that fight? Oh, but then again, the MMA community losses, that the community took pleasure in, excuse me. I was about to say, if he lost that fight, that would have been bad, but that would have went against the title of the video. My apologies.
Full knee, and a follow-up that put such a satisfying end to Sean's involvement in the lightweight title picture.
Dude, something that I do know is BJ Penn was an animal back in the day. That's why I kind of feel bad for, like, the state of BJ Penn at this point in his career.
Verse 7, snake stomping. Very few fighters have ever made themselves into more of a villain than TJ Dillashaw did.
Am I wrong? Am I misremembering that? I don't think, like, everybody was collectively hating TJ Dillashaw. Like, no, I mean, people didn't like TJ Dillashaw after the whole PED thing. I understand that, but, like, enough to really... for people to cheer for Henry Cejudo, I kind of remember this, like, being, okay, everybody's kind of cringe here. This whole thing's cringe. TJ's jacket's weird. The Henry breeding the snake there is cringe. I think it was more of, like, everybody not just liking either of these guys than TJ Dillashaw losing, but I could be misremembering that.
Fighting Henry Cejudo. Now, Tyler's reputation had already been greatly tarnished in years previous thanks to his nasty feud with his former teammates at Team Alpha Male. But in his foray into the flyweight division, Dillashaw fully leaned into the snake-in-the-grass persona that fans had expected. He wasn't moving down to flyweight to win another title, he was moving down to flyweight to kill the division.
UFC wants to get rid of the division in my eyes. They hired me to go down and close it and get another belt.
He's just embracing the villain arc. He's getting some numbers, getting people talking about him. I've always liked TJ. That's why I've been so disappointed to find out that he's a cheater, because I've always thought he was one of the greatest fighters of all time, and I modeled my own style as like from TJ Dillashaw. I've learned a bunch of his footwork techniques and things like that. So that's why it's really disappointing, and I still do like TJ because that stuff still has helped me throughout my life, and I still use it. Like I just actually recently recording this video, I just finally got back into sparring last night, and it felt so good to, like, you know, I still had all of that footwork in, I still had those combinations. It still helps, so I can't help, like, it's just disappointing. You understand my point. It's just disappointing, and I just wish I knew how many people actually were cheaters, because this might not be a one-off. You know, it's a whole tough situation, man. It's hard to hate somebody like that, in my opinion.
He's so messed up. Like, why are you trying to take jobs away from people? Who does that? And then he wore that stupid coat while he was, like, wasting away from the weight cut. It just, none of it felt like anything anybody wanted. And
yeah, he looked like how, oh, that's a bad screenshot. Dude, I lost so much money on this fight. This was one of, like, the biggest bets that I ever placed. I thought Henry had no chance in that fight.
So when he got TKO'd in 32 seconds, questionable stoppage or not, we didn't care. Fans were so damn happy. Not only did you not kill the division, but your arrogant belief that you could easily move down to 125 and somehow make that weight and be competitive was proven wrong immediately.
I thought he was going to be able to do the same thing as well. It was shocking to me, man. That fight was so surprising.
Afterwards, when he popped for EPO, fans felt even more justified in enjoying his downfall.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6, Goliath conquered. A few months back, I showed my nephew Minotauro Nogueira versus Bob Sapp with absolutely no context. He vaguely knew of Sapp. He's the guy from The Longest Yard, and knew nothing of Nogueira or Pride.
Again, this is before my time, but I'm very familiar with this fight.
Or what happened in this bout. And his reaction to the fight really shows how universal it was to cheer for Nogueira to somehow beat this absolute monster that was
It's funny back in the day how nobody knew. My dad and my uncle were watching UFC since UFC 1, and my dad has been involved in martial arts throughout his life, so he always told me about these things, how the world just, like, didn't know about jiu-jitsu, didn't care about jiu-jitsu. They were always surprised when somebody would get strangled by a jiu-jitsu fighter, things like that. It's very interesting, and you still have that in society today, but not nearly as much, of course.
In the ring with him. By the time Antonio survived getting dumped on his head by Sapp, my nephew was locked in and cheering like the fight was live, and went absolutely nuts when Nogueira locked in that armbar in the second round. I could give you more context about Sapp's status in Japan at the time as an attraction, and the perception of him as a real threat. Or
this is why I feel bad for the other guys, you know, failing PED tests, because you have guys like this walking around back in the day.
About Nogueira's run and status as Pride Heavyweight Champion, but honestly, my nephew showed that it doesn't matter. None of it. This was as old as David versus Goliath. That deep human instinct to cheer for the little guy, even when the little guy is the best heavyweight fighter on the planet at the time.
And again, man, it just makes me a little, not quite nostalgic. It makes me, like, miss seeing, like, a prime Nogueira, you know what I mean? And then watching them get old. Like, I started getting into the UFC when a lot of these superstars from, like, the old UFC started getting, like, really old, like the Nogueiras started getting old, things like that. It's a little unfortunate to watch, because they, like, I would have liked to just watch UFC throughout their entire prime. Now I've been watching UFC. I have been watching every single UFC event, with the exception of some cards, of course. You can't commit to every single Saturday ever. I've been watching since George St. Pierre versus Carlos Condit, whatever year that was. It was something along the lines of, like, it was before 2011, wasn't it? I could be wrong about that, but so you kind of get what era that I'm talking about.
Overcoming what felt like there would be no way to overcome initially makes Nog's victory one of the most universally satisfying in the history of the sport. Number 5, comeuppance. From the second Greg Hardy entered the UFC, he was very largely unwelcome by the MMA community. There was the DV situation he had in the NFL that got resolved when the victim didn't show up to court. There was the UFC's baffling choice to debut him on a card with a fighter who was recently attacked in a DV incident.
I didn't know that. Wow. Oh my god. I don't think I knew that. That's rough. That only adds to why people would cheer against Greg Hardy, eh?
And Rachel Ostovich. But it wasn't just that. His whole attitude towards everything, and also, you can't give yourself your own nickname. And if you do, it can't be Prince of War. Not when you're 3 fights into your career. You are the Prince of Nothing at that
I didn't know either that he gave himself his own nickname. That's so cringe.
point. So given his general douchebaggery, fans could not wait for someone to put this dude's lights out.
Yeah, I wasn't really loving Greg Hardy, to be honest with you, either. But I did laugh sometimes at Greg Hardy coming in, like using the inhaler and things like that. You saw it approved.
Problem was, it just wasn't happening. Given his newness to the sport, the UFC rightly started him with bouts he could be competitive in. But even when he worked his way up, the losses weren't good enough. Volkov took him to a decision. Tybura forced a TKO stoppage, but it was just more like Hardy kind of stopping fighting. But then a hero came along.
There he is. Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. Dude, the crowd went crazy for this one. The community went crazy for this one as well.
Strength to carry on in Tai Tuivasa. Everybody loves that guy, shoeies and whatnot. So him KOing Hardy in about a minute felt good for that reason alone. But it was—
Dude, I miss the state. Like, I miss Tai Tuivasa being like a heavyweight contender. He was always so much fun. Every single fight that Tai Tuivasa was like took part in, whether he won or whether he lost, was so good. But now it just seems like his spirit's broken. Did you see at the time of recording this video, depending when you're watching this, it's October 8th, 2025, and I feel bad for Tai Tuivasa and the state of his body, man.
It's also just so very satisfying to see Greg take a second L in a row in more dramatic fashion. Sergey Spivak put the icing on the cake next fight, and that was the end of Greg Hardy in
If I was about to say, did he do anything else? Because he was about to say
mixed martial arts.
Yeah, he was the end of Greg Hardy mixed martial arts. I could have swore I heard about him doing something else, but I could be wrong.
Number 4, divisional savior. Is it fair that everybody hated Tim Sylvia? I think a lot of it is pretty mean-spirited, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. He reigned over the weakest heavyweight division of all time. He was good.
Now, I was about to say this fight is also past my time. But reigning over the weakest division, the heavyweight division in UFC history, I think Tom Aspinall might unfortunately have that cake. I find it very difficult to see a worse heavyweight division than what we have now.
And awkward and a lot of times boring. To so many, he was the embodiment of that era in that division. And God, his second title reign was abysmal. The trilogy bout with Arlovsky and his defense against Jeff Monson absolutely sucked. Things were already bad, but those fights just made everything so much worse. And that's when Captain America appeared to save the day. Randy Couture, recently retired, decided, you know what? I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna move to heavyweight again and beat the shit out of Tim.
Yeah, I know that fight. I just didn't know that was something, like, I didn't know a bunch of people hate. I didn't know everybody was, like, hating like crazy. I didn't know people were unhappy with the state of the heavyweight division. So that's always been a thing. Dude, when I got into the UFC, we had, like, the best heavyweight division of all time. Especially as it evolved, we had, like, Dos Santos, Verdum, Velasquez, even Cormier was part of that. Big Country, Mark Hunt, those types of guys. It was amazing. Arlovsky, Frank Mir.
Sylvia, to end this suffering, I need a minute to myself so I can drift away. Despite his age and the size difference, for 5 whole rounds, Couture worked over Sylvia. It was not even close, and God, was it so satisfying knowing that Sylvia would no longer be holding that gold.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I know a lot of people liked Randy Couture, but I didn't know that a lot of people were, like, getting all hyped up for him to win that fight.
It was the only fight in this video that ended via a decision, but it was such a satisfying and sustained thrashing that a finish wasn't even needed. Number 3, arrogant Alistair. I would imagine being one of the most jacked up and dangerous people on the planet would absolutely go to your head. And
don't tell me he's gonna bring up the Ngannou fight. Don't tell me. I don't know what fight he's talking about. I've went back and I've watched so many of Alistair Overeem's fights too. I liked Overeem. I understand that he is a big PED cheat, but a ton of people were in his day, so I wonder what fight they're talking about.
Really came across that way with Alistair Overeem. This guy looked like a Greek god. Everybody thought he was the best heavyweight in the world.
Dude, I will sit on that. If Alistair Overeem didn't have a major chin issue, he would be the greatest heavyweight of all time. He would have dominated the division for the entirety of his career.
Inevitable champion in the UFC, his arrogant demeanor was entirely justified. But of course, Overeem could not have gotten to this state with horse meat alone, and so in 2012, when he got caught with the TE ratio of a bull shark, his smugness was met with nothing but disdain from fans. And that would carry over into his first fight.
But again, that's tough. Because again, everybody back then was on roids, so I struggle to really hate somebody for that, you know?
Back after his suspension against Bigfoot Silva.
Look at him, he's still all jacked up there, eh? He could be off a cycle in that. Sorry.
All fight like he couldn't even believe the UFC had bothered to put him in the cage with this guy. Like
a memory just unlocked in my head. Oh, what was he saying about Bigfoot? There were specific things he was saying. I forgot about that completely. Oh my God. Yeah, my dad and I were laughing so hard after that fight. I can't remember what he was saying. Please show us.
So
show us, Tommy.
So put off, like he couldn't even bother to defend himself. So when Bigfoot Silva beat the absolute shit out of him as a result of his lackadaisical defense, it just felt so good as a fan. You couldn't help but think this dude got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
What's so great about this one is that even if you didn't know Overeem from anybody else before that fight, his body language alone during the bout would have you losing your mind when Bigfoot hits that first shot.
Now, I'm kind of forgetting how many times Overeem has been knocked out prior to that fight. I know he's absolutely had a chin issue, but did that start after one knockout, or was he always kind of chinny? I don't remember. I wish I could remember what he was saying. Dude, I'm actually going to go back and look that up after I'm done recording the video, to be honest with you.
It was a universal hatred for arrogance on display
Yeah.
that night. Number 2, Cowboy's last ride. There are some stories that are universally satisfying in life when they play out, and one of those is when an arrogant young hotshot gets put in their place by a veteran who maybe isn't the best anymore, but they are more than enough to take a cocky jerk to school. And
yeah, that's another toughie, because I know that Alexander Hernandez was just trying to make a name for himself, but at the same time, it was really cool to see Cowboy just sitting there saying things along the lines of like, I'm just going to show him what's up. We're going to talk in the cage. You yap, yap, yap away. And he destroyed Hernandez. Now I like Hernandez, which is funny.
the very embodiment of this trope in mixed martial arts is Alexander Hernandez versus Donald Cerrone. The story is just perfect. Alex enters the UFC with a shocking KO victory over Beneil Dariush. A hell of a debut, followed up by a victory over OAM. Donald Cerrone, now 30 fights into his UFC career, was planning a move on back down to lightweight for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, and this is at this point, I'm again, sorry, I'm a little bit fuzzy on my history with MMA here. I think Cowboy was still on a roll at this point. He was a scary contender.
So the stage was set. The first ever ESPN card headlining the prelims. The same night that Cejudo beat Dillashaw, by the way.
Sorry,
a
that
very
screenshot, man.
satisfying evening all around. Hernandez could not have been more of a villain at the press conference in the lead up to that fight.
I just see myself facing an insecure little lad swinging on a saddle with a pop gun and a feather in his hat.
Again, he's been getting the attention, right? And it ended up working for him, but he wasn't charismatic enough and he didn't deliver on that. That's the problem. If you don't deliver that on that, kind of like Miles Jury being arrogant against Donald Cerrone as well, it's really going to hurt your career. But now he's likable, right? He kind of turned it around for people like watching Alexander Hernandez for a long time, and I'm glad that he did, man.
He was bullying Cerrone. Cowboy was the living embodiment of that Toby Keith song on that night. He's not as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was. And my goodness, did he beat the absolute shit out of Alexander Hernandez.
Yeah, and what worked too was like Cerrone was coming to that. He was just calm. He was like, I don't know exactly what he said, but it was something like, I'll just do my talking in the cage. You better watch out.
The course of those 2 rounds, laying it on thick towards the climax to finish off the young gun and show him that he still had quite a bit to learn.
It's like he knew that there was no way he was losing that fight. You remember Cerrone's demeanor back then?
Number 1, Air Hendo. We hated Michael Bisping so
this is the thumbnail of the video. Dude, it's crazy too what he's about to say. We hated Michael Bisping. Dude, it's one of the biggest turnarounds of all time, because I also hated Michael Bisping. And then he started being like hilarious and then likable.
So much that the follow-up shot that he took from Dan Henderson was one of the most beloved moments of that era in the sport. It's kind of super fucked up thinking about it now, but man, at the time, everybody was just so happy. Mike Bisping.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I caught up on all of this once I started really getting into the sport. But dude, usually I'm like, what a dickhead. Why would he do that? Why are you playing with people's lives? But with the amount of talk that Bisping was doing and the amount of hate that he was gathering when Hendo went airborne, it's just funny. I've never seen someone go airborne trying to like put all of their body weight into a shot to knock somebody out when they're already out.
Bisping may be beloved these days, but he was a prickly bastard back in the old days. A trait he got to show off in abundance, coaching tough opposite of Hendo. Now, Dan was absolutely adored at the time, so any opposition to him would have been disliked. But Bisping had a way about him that made everybody so badly want to see him not just lose, but lose terribly. And oh my god, did he ever. The KO itself was just pure unadulterated destruction.
Dude, I'm sure that we all know exactly like what punch he's talking about here. I have never seen like Hendo loaded up the H-bomb, right? It's just the speed and the power into the shot that he threw, and he looked like that was one of the hardest punches ever thrown in the history of the UFC, and there was just hatred behind that shot.
The all-time greats, but the flying, jumping follow-up shot was the cathartic icing on the cake every fan needed that night after months of chatting shit. Funny enough, time changes everything because many years later, the Count would get his own satisfying KO when he took the gold from the cocky surfer fashion model.
Yeah, but even a little bit before that, Michael Bisping started like being a little bit more charismatic, a little bit more funny. When he started like coming into the UFC, he was just, I don't know how else to say it. He was just a dick.
Champion Luke Rockhold.
But now he's a funny dick.
In a massive underdog win. Now that is a redemption arc. Even though he was a total prick on that night too. You know, I guess he's...
But the problem is, Luke did that to himself. Bisping, he made Bisping being like, haha, I got the belt, look at this. He made Bisping likable in that moment.
Still is today, but he's our prick. I'll tell you who's not a jerk though. The editor of this video, Luke Taylor. Please follow him on his socials and go check out his awesome YouTube.
Oh, hey, I do like me some Sonic content over there. Hey, I actually will go, I would love to check that out, man. I've loved Sonic growing up, man. But if you want to talk a little bit more about MMA On Point, we have another reaction video to one of them. If you could check it out right here, guys, I would love to have you over there. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, everybody.